Hello, everyone. I hope you have done very well in this test, or rather, you got a taste of how this actual CLAT would be, right? If we talk about critical reasoning, you must have seen that there are six passages based on five questions based on the passages. Now, what skills do you require actually to do this sectional test, to do this section of the test very well? So, logical skills, of course, it's a logical reasoning part. Analytical skills, and you need definitely the comprehension skills because you need to understand what the author has said. As I usually say, that you have to understand the point of view of the author. Secondly, when you're reading the passage, you should be able to extract the central idea of the passage because you need to step into the mind of the author and see what he has conveyed or what he has in his mind that he is giving to the readers, right? If you are able to catch that point, answering of the questions will be very smooth for you. Now, the point here is because this is critical reasoning, you need to understand the way the question has been framed. So, definitely, you need to understand the questioner's mind also. That will be another trick. That is what we are going to do, how to understand the question, how to understand the passage, and definitely come up with the best marks, right? Because at the end of the day, that is what matters, right? So, let us see how we are going about it. Now, the first passage, see, I'll be reading the passage, right? I'll be marking a few important twists and turns in the passage. That means that is going to help you understand or extract the central idea there. And then we'll be doing the questions. But understand one thing, objective here, coming to the right answer, definitely. But when we are sitting for analysis, we also need to understand why the rest of the three options are incorrect. Why should we eliminate them and then come to one as the answer, right? So if you're able to understand this in the analysis, it will be easy for us when we go for the next test, right? So there should be a gradual improvement. Your graph of the marks that you obtain or your improvement, it should be gradually increasing, right? Come on, let us read. Now, if you have the test with you, keep that with you so that you are able to underline, or rather, you are able to see at least where the important points would lie. So, we'll start now. Not able to arrest en masse the multitudes who took to the streets on July 9, the president has taken to apprehending a cross section of demonstrators under the state of emergency he himself had ordered. Right now, even if we come across a difficult word, understand, even if we come across a difficult word while we are reading, we need not get stuck there. What you want to do, or what you rather have to do here, is to understand the underlying thought that is there in the sentence instead of only going to the words, right? So, not able to arrest en masse, the multitudes who took to the streets, the president has taken to apprehending a cross section of demonstrators under the state of emergency he himself had ordered. His targets have tended to be high profile, a YouTube star, trade and student union leaders, clergy, long-time activists, and a man who had appeared in a viral video where he had counted the millions found at the presidential palace before handing the money over to the police. And then there is Danis Ali, who was apprehended pre-takeoff on a flight to Dubai weeks after he'd swaggered into the state broadcasters' studios and forced producers to put him on air. Why was he not arrested before boarding the flight? Now, see, this comes as the author's thought. What he has mentioned in the paragraph is that they are apprehending. Apprehending, now here you can see that they are arresting. Arresting a cross section of the demonstrators under the state of emergency. Right? Now, here comes the author's question that why was he not arrested before boarding the flight? See, what I was saying about the vocabulary here, if you don't know the meaning of apprehending, do not get stuck there. You get this word arrested, so now you can create a link here, right? Now, did his being dragged off an aircraft make for shareable social media content? Naturally. That means he should have been arrested earlier. Now, even before he'd been sworn in as president, Vikram Singhe called the protest a fascist force So ostensibly, the arrest of key demonstrators is an attempt to discredit and cripple a movement that had, among other demands, called for his resignation. Now, a fascist force, if you have read fascism and Nazism and all, it would be like a very autocratic ruler or tyrant, you can say, and then he would be dominating the people. That is authoritative, autocratic ruler. That is fascist, where the people are not given much freedom. Ostensibly, something that is clearly visible, apparent, seen. Right. Now, how is it seen now, this arrest of the people, that he is trying to discredit and cripple a movement, those people who had called for his demand. But is there a larger political project at work? Now you can see again the author pushes the reader into thinking, right? Is there any ulterior motive for his actions? Right? Even in the first paragraph, the last two lines were questions that the author was making the readers think. So if we come across these two, when we read these two paragraphs, we get one point here, right? That the president has been doing something, arresting, getting arrested, of course, right? And trying to cripple a movement. Those people are trying to suppress the voice of those people who are demanding for his resignation. If this is the point that we can catch in these two paragraphs, we'll go ahead. Now, as president, Vikram Singhe faces a grim reality. Now, even if you want to skip this word, you don't pronounce it because pronouncing the words will take more time. Actually, it will be time consuming. So, whenever you come across like proper nouns with a capital letter, they have very different pronunciations. So, it is better you come up with only W or read he. Naturally, it will come like when he faces a grim reality, masterful as his backroom maneuvers have been over the past 3 months, he is in essence running on political fumes. Following the Easter attacks in 2019, Vikram Singhe was not merely unpopular, he was reviled for his part in failing to prevent the massacre. His once mighty United National Party was duly decimated at the next parliamentary polls. Vikram Singhe failed to win his own seat. See, we do not know the meaning of decimated, so we can understand failed to win his own seat. And if we know the meaning of decimated, that means obliterated, wiped out. So coming into parliament only through the national list. Now his presidency is backed largely by the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana, that is SLPP, now, which is less a party in the traditional sense and more a vehicle for the ambitions of the Rajapaksa family. So he is being backed largely. That means he is being supported. So the point that we have got till now is one, he is getting the people arrested. That was in the first paragraph. Second paragraph also we had the same thing, that even before he was the president, he was trying to suppress the voice of the people. Third paragraph we had this, that he was not only unpopular, he was reviled for what he was doing, and he was decimated at the parliamentary polls. Another point, and he is being supported by this Rajapaksa family. There was a time when Vikram Singhe used to oppose the Rajapaksas vehemently. Vehemently is very strongly, in public at least. Though allegations of secret dealings have been rife for years. Rife means full of, right? So that means there have been many rumors that okay, they are dealing secretly. So he now makes attempts to convince an international audience that he is still that Vikram Singhe, chiding a Sky News reporter who told him he was a friend of the Rajapaksas. Chiding is the mild scolding, like admonishing, right? So you can write on. Later on, you should actually be writing down the difficult words, looking up the words in the dictionary, and writing down the simplest meaning of it. That is what another thing that you have to do in your vocabulary. Right now, we'll come to this question. We have the main ideas we have. Now, in your opinion, which of the following statement best explains the primary purpose of the passage? That means why. When we come up with this word primary purpose, it should be why has the author written this? Okay. So the passage speaks about the slimy ways adopted by the president Vikram Singhe to save his neck. To save his neck means he has to hold his position well, right? The passage talk possible. This is like slimy ways will be like something that is very cleverly done, very slyly done. sneakily done. So the passage talks about this. A can be the answer. We'll leave it and we still have to read the three options. The passage talks about the political situation of a country. Yes, it is talking about the political situation, but mainly about the president. So now, if B also sounds right, but then understand the question. The question says it best explains the primary purpose. That means, what was the reason of the author writing this passage? So then ask yourself, does the author really want to tell us only about the political situation, or mainly it was mentioning the president before and after his presidency? So, political situation, partially correct, but not completely. So, the passage explains how the media plays an important role in the freedom of speech and expression. Media plays an important role, right? But how it is playing the important role, was that mentioned in the passage? Because we talked about the president in both the paragraphs, right? Last paragraph also talked about the support that he was getting from the Rajapaksa's family. So, mainly the paragraph was revolving again around the president. So media plays would be out, none of the above out, and we have A as the answer. Right? I hope you have understood this. We'll come to the second. Now, which of the following can't be inferred from the given passage except? Now, when we have two negatives, this is like no, negative and except is negative. The minus minus is always plus. So what we need to understand is, see, when you find these questions confusing, try identifying the negative words. Okay? I've seen many of the students will see they don't understand the question because sometimes it is like strengthening, it's weakening, except, not weakening, except. In this way, pick up the negative words, minus, minus, plus, plus, minus, minus. And this is something that we've done in our schools also, right? So which of the following can't be inferred from the given passage except? That means it can be inferred. So if we have got the central idea, we'll see that, okay, fine, what can be inferred? Vikram Singh's inabilities and absence of preemptive steps regarding the attacks raised flack from the people. Flack means criticism. And we remember we had read that word that he was not only unpopular, right, but he was reviled also. If I go back to that paragraph, you can see here. Following the Easter attacks in 2019, Vikram Singhe was not merely unpopular, he was reviled for his part in failing to prevent the massacre. The massacre was that attack, Easter attacks. Now, see, it is as I came back to the passage, right? So, even when you're solving the test, you are taking the test, even if you take 2 seconds to just glance at the passage where you know it is talking about attacks, read one sentence before it and one sentence after it, then you get the exact answer. Because we need the accurate answers so that we get marks. So it's not only that you remember something, ठीक है, इतने याद है, तो then I'll mark it. So his inabilities and absence of preemptive steps. Preemptive means preventive. Regarding the attacks raised flag from the people, it is possible. I'll still keep a small tick here so that I read the rest of the options also. Vikram Singh and Rajapaksas have acrimonious feeling. No, this cannot be inferred, no, because they were supporting. His presidency is not backed by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peruna. It was also given in the last paragraph. You can just check it. And he was overtly supporting the Rajapaksas. Overtly is like openly, but he was not openly supporting. He was secretly supporting, no. So that was covert. Overt is open and covert is covered. Covert is secret, hidden. Right? These are two commonly used words, overt and covert. So we have A as the answer. I hope you have understood the question as well as the answers. Next question. Which of the following, if true, would strengthen the idea of the author? Now we have extracted the idea of the author. So it will be easy for us to see something that is according to what the author was thinking. So Vikram Singh's presidency has been blemished and people should realize the future the nation is headed towards. Blemished means something that is like tainted. थोड़ा सा जिसका नाम खराब है, that is called soiled, right? Or spoiled also. Another word that I can think of now is marred, MARRED. So his presidency has been blemished and people should realize the future the nation is headed towards. Fine. This is according to what the author was saying. So again, I'll put a small tick here. Vikram Singhe has been an ambitious president who aims at the welfare of his people. Did we find anything that was relating to the welfare of the people? Or did the author was very positive about that person? Not exactly. Right. Vikram Singhe has been trying to work out the policies for the betterment. Again, this is ruled out. So, and because this is ruled out, all of the above cannot be the answer, and hence we have A as the answer. Clear this much? I hope you have understood. Because if we extract the central idea, answering will be very easy then, as I said earlier. We need to catch that idea. I'm repeating, yes. From the following, which statement negatively affects the idea of the author? Again, we need something that is weakening. So, the state of emergency was ordered by the president, but this was what was given in the paragraph, right? That he himself was ordered in the third, fourth line, it was. So, this is correct. The president had tried to quell the protesters who demanded his resignation, thus affecting the people's right to protest. But yes, he had quelled the protesters. No, in the very first paragraph, he said that he was getting apprehended a few celebrities and all, right? And those who were demanding his resignation. But this is given. So even this is given. The president has been rightly taking actions in the interest of the national security again. Was it? He got those people arrested. But then, was the purpose of those arrests national security? No. He had imposed emergency and then he was getting those people arrested. Why? Because they were raising voices against him and they were demanding that he should resign from the post. Right? So it was not for the in the interest of the national security, and hence C will be your answer. Clear? Which of the following can be inferred from the given passage? So, the political situation in Sri Lanka is being handled well. Can we infer this? No, otherwise there would not have been so many protests, no? So, handled well is out. Political situation in Sri Lanka has been like still water for a very long time. Still water means like no waves, nothing. You throw a stone there, a pebble there, and then there's a ripple effect, right? So in that way, ripple effect word is understood. But yeah, still water is still. So I don't know. There were many things going on in on the political side. So B is out. The president's intention and actions in the political arena are causing disquietude in the country. Yes, that means there are protests and then there are arrests. So this is disquietude is correct. Political situation in Sri Lanka is no different from that in the other neighboring countries. We can't compare all this and we can't infer this also. For the neighboring countries, we can't infer, no? So that is out of context then. So you have C as the answer. So the questions were moderately easy, I would say. No, they were not so difficult. So at least 4 out of 5 you could have got correct, at least, because you have to see the time consumed per question also. Come on, we'll come to the next passage. The last 5 years of the GST journey have been like the Samudra Manthan that began with the unwanted elements of transition but slowly yielded the nectar of higher revenues. Many of those who complained about the teething problems of GST perhaps failed to recollect what the indirect tax situation was prior to the implementation of GST. That means those people who are complaining, teething problems is where something we start a business or we start something, some new project, but initially or rather in the beginning stages, they face problems. So that is called the teething problems. Now, So GST also, when it was imposed, it had a few problems. People were not readily accepting it, but now they have understood that fine, the unwanted elements of transition were focused first, but now it is yielding nectars of higher revenues. That means now people are able to see the benefits of this GST. So many of those who complained about the teething problems of GST perhaps failed to recollect what the indirect tax situation was prior to the implementation of GST. The multiplicity of the center and state levies that mask the actual incidence of tax on products, the debilitating effects of the entry tax, and the uncertainty of the tax rates. That means this was what was happening prior to the implementation of GST. So, first paragraph is giving us the GST has started giving us positive results. People should remember what they had to do before the GST and what is the positive now. So today, in contrast, we have a single tax. This is what is in the present situation. Combined with the stability in rates and a common technology platform in the form of a GSTN, where key business processes of registration, payment of duties, filing of returns are done online in a transparent manner. In a transparent manner, we can focus now. So this is giving us the positives of the GST, and this part was the last three lines of the first paragraph was giving us the negative of the time before the GST. So now with the introduction of GST, all these things have changed. So a lot of this improvement can be traced to stricter compliance flowing from three factors. First, denial of input credit to the buyer without the supplier uploading the invoice. Second, the introduction of e-voicing. And third, the introduction of e-way bills. So these three improvements we can mark. Transporters for value exceeding rupees 50,000 per consignment. Another less acknowledged factor is a greater coordination between the Central Board of Excise and Customs and Central Board of Direct Taxes. So CBIC means indirect taxes and customs also. So CBDT in compliance verification. An equally significant achievement is the broad justification of the optimism that GST being the destination-based tax would help in the fiscal equity for the augmentation of revenues of the states that consume less. That means you can understand now the first paragraph was giving us that, see, there are positives of the GST which were not recognized earlier. And earlier, what was happening is given in the last two lines of the first paragraph that this was a condition. With the introduction of GST, now see so many benefits are there. So second paragraph is giving us the benefits. First paragraph giving us the condition that was prior to the introduction of GST. Right? Carrying these two ideas, we'll move further. The micro, small, and medium enterprises, the MSME sector, has been affected by the GST reforms because the large units have been reluctant to buy from them in the absence of the input duty credit. Now, because the input duty credit will be there, so they'll be able to buy. This is what is implied. So, an important measure here would be to amend the law to provide that all units buying from unregistered GST suppliers would have to pay duty on a reverse charge basis. In order to provide greater procedural comfort to the larger units, the provision relating to the issue of e-way bills and other regulatory procedures must be simplified where purchases are from a smaller unit whose turnover is below a threshold. To further incentivize the larger units and encourage them to trade on the TREDS platform, the institutional mechanism to facilitate the discounting of invoices for MSMEs from corporate buyers through multiple financiers. That is this platform. The Securities and Exchange Board, SEBI, can provide higher credit ratings to such units. This will incentivize them to grow. This last part is saying what can be done. What is, what was, first what was, then what is, and then what can be done now. Yeah, I hope you can break this up into these 2-3 points. Then we'll come to the next question. So in the eye of the passage, which of the following can be true? Right? This is a possibility. So introduction of GST has been nothing but a tool to generate more revenue from the public without making the direct taxes any simpler for them. But we had read the word, no, it should be simplified. And it is nothing but a tool to generate more revenue. So was it only for the revenue making? Or was it for the simplification also? Right, the one tax there. Let us see. So it was nothing but the tool. This sounds a little harsh, sort of, on GST, whereas the paragraph was based on the positives of the GST. Second, GST will be beneficial, possible for small and medium enterprises. We read in this last and the second last para. As large units now buy from them because of the input duty credit, which was earlier they were hesitant to buy. We had read this sentence and I had underlined it also. So we can understand that, see, this can be true. Possibility, I'll mark small tick, has been a tool for making the taxation system in India progressive. But were we talking about the taxation system on the whole? Or here we are concerned with the GST part only, the direct indirect taxes, wala, or the complete system. Right? So that this is a very broad term. So this is eliminated, C option. Because C is eliminated, we rule out D also. Now A and B, A comes up with a little negative connotation. So A is removed and we have B as the answer. Clear? Next question. Which of the following is not an improvement to the taxation system after the introduction of GST? Not an improvement after the taxation, after the introduction of GST. Let us see. So there have been many improvements. Now in this question, even if you need to go back to the passage and check out these words, whether there are e-way bills were introduced, whether there was e-invoicing, you can go back. There's no harm. The point is that you should get this answer correct because all these 3 or 4 words will be there in the passage, right? Because it's talking about the improvement and we had that paragraph where we were talking about improvement here, right? We had here improvements. I had marked first, second, third. So we have the e-way bills, we have the e-voicing, right? So we need something that is not an improvement. So what don't we have? Introduction of tax rebate for companies having turnover below 2 crores. Did we talk about the tax rebate or were we talking about making things simplified for those large companies also? Right? Without the supplier uploading the invoice, this is given there. E-invoicing was given and e-way bills for the transportation of goods was given. So this is a slightly direct sort of question, but it can be time consuming, but you will get it correct. That means our answer would be C, where we are not talking about the tax rebate. Next question, if we come to question number 113. So which of the following, if true, would weaken the idea of the author? Weakening the idea of the author. So people should be discouraged to follow the GST system as there are no uniform rates of taxes for every state. But no, when he's giving so many positives, how can his idea be that he wants the people or he wants to discourage the people? So this is definitely weakening. GST system should be discontinued because it was enacted without considering its negative effects. But we had read in the very first sentence that the negative effects were there in earlier, but they had subsided, and then we got the positives of it. And then the paragraph that followed was talking about all the positives. So if we have this, then this also will be weakening. GST system continues to be amended, keeping in mind the benefit of the people, positive point, so strengthening. So we have 1 and 2 as weakening, and that makes option A as the answer, which says statement 1 and statement 2 are the weakening ones. Clear? Next. As per the author of the passage, what should be done to provide procedural comfort to large units? We were talking about no things to make things simplified for the large units. So let us check that. According to the author, GST shall be exempted on bulk purchases by large units from smaller units. Was there an exemption? We did not read about this. The provisions relating to e-way bills and other procedures shall be simplified. Should be done, right? What what should be done? So if GST shall be exempted on bulk purchases, then it is not going to bring profits, no? The provision, so A is eliminated. The provisions relating to e-way bills and other procedures shall be simplified. Yes, this is what the author's thought process also was, the simplification of things. A new department shall be set up for the grievances of the large units regarding GSTs. Now, if they set up again a new department, then that will be a wastage because they need to address the grievances on their own. Just coming up or the creating a new department is going to be like further increasing the administrative process and all that. So this will not be a proper thing to be done. So we have B as the answer here. None of the above be out ho jayega. These two things are out. A and C out, so B becomes your answer. Coming to the question, next question. Which of the following strengthens the author's argument? Now, if you are able to understand what the author's argument is, right, that is what we had read. No, he's giving the positives, mainly the benefits of GST and all. So we need to strengthen his argument. So GST rate should be different from state to state and from product to product. But then it was brought, GST was there to bring everybody together, right? And then again you are segregating. So this will not be the point. Different from state to state will be eliminated. Great coordination should be present between the CBIC and CBDT in compliance verification. Yes, this is what we had understood. No, because he was talking about uniting and he was talking about coordinating. Or we had the word compliance also. You can read this sentence was directly there. So this can be the answer then. GST to be exempted from necessary products, then what is the use of GST? So this eliminated, all of the above eliminated, and we have B as our answer. So I hope you have understood this paragraph as well as at least I would say that 4 questions out of 5 should have been correct. Come on. Now coming to the third passage. It's when we see you have dates and all this, so it goes like a narrative only. So Bilqis was 20 years old and several months pregnant at the time she was subjected to brutality by men she had apparently known for years. She referred to one of them as Chacha, that is uncle, and the others as brothers. She was gang raped and left almost lifeless. She saw her family members being killed. Her 3-year-old daughter was also murdered. On regaining consciousness, Wilkie borrowed clothes from a tribal woman and went to the Limkira police station in the Dahod district to register a complaint. The head constable there suppressed the facts and wrote a truncated version of the complaint. It was just the beginning of an ordeal. You can see. Now, it is not about the incident, right? It is about what was being done after the incident. So the facts are being suppressed. Whatever she complained was not written in detail. That means it was truncated. Truncated means cut, right? In short, it was just the beginning of an ordeal in pursuit of justice. That is what she wanted. She wanted justice. And this was just the beginning of her sufferings. So she received death threats, prompting the Supreme Court to move the trial out of Gujarat to Mumbai. In January, a special CBI court in Mumbai convicted 11 of the 20 accused on charges of conspiracy to rape a pregnant woman, and they were charged only of the conspiracy, murder, unlawful assembly, and other charges under various sections of the Indian Penal Code. The head constable was convicted. Now, the person who had suppressed the facts was also convicted for making the incorrect records to save the accused. Now, 7 of the 20 accused were acquitted due to the lack of evidence. Now, see, when they talk about 11 out of the 20 accused were charged, 7 out of the 20 accused were acquitted. Acquitted means they were absolved. They were let go, free. So one person died during the course of the trial. Fine. This is what happened about the culprits. Now, Bilqis Bano, who was gang raped in the 2002 Godhra riots, issued a statement saying the release of the convicts had shaken her faith in the justice system. Now, see, the focus of the paragraph is not that incident. The focus of the paragraph was the delivering of justice, where and how it was done or not done. She appealed to the Gujarat government to undo the harm and give her back the right to live her life. Right? So she appealed again. Today I can only say this: how can justice for any woman end like this? I trusted the high courts in our land, I trusted the system, and I was learning slowly to live with my trauma. Right? So, again, now you can see that the focus of the author, as I'm repeating, is not the incident. It is about what happened after the incident and what justice was given to the convicts or to the culprits. Now, I was learning slowly to live with my trauma. The release of these convicts has taken from me my peace and shaken my faith in justice. My sorrow and my wavering faith is not for myself alone, but for every woman who is struggling for justice in courts. This is what she said in a statement. Now, I hope you have understood this passage, the focus of the passage, and we'll come to the questions. So, in the eye of the passage, which of the following statements can be true? Again, a possibility. So, justice delayed is equivalent to injustice done or justice denied, whatever you take. So, justice delayed is justice denied, or justice delayed is equivalent to injustice done. That means if the justice is not delivered timely, then the impact of that particular incident, whatever it is, right, it is not exactly what the victim would want, or rather which will be correct for the victim also and for the justice system also. See, there are many cases, as you would know, that would take tens and 15s or 20 of years, right? So it is all about dates, तारीख पे तारीख, ठीक है? So possible. Possible. This is a proverb that justice delayed is justice denied. Equivalent. Now, I'll put a small tick here. Let us read the rest of the sentences first. So, in India, safety and security of the woman takes the front seat. No. In India, the judicial system works in accordance with the functioning of the administration. Right. Is it true that is the judicial system working according to or with the legislature or the executive? No. Judiciary is a separate organ of the government than the legislature and the executive. So this will not be true. And in India, the police do not abet the criminals. Abet is to help the people in the crime. So as we saw in this in the paragraph that the the policeman did not actually write properly the complaint. So do not will be out. So this sentence out, B, C, and D out, we have A as the answer. Right? Next question. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage except? So what we can understand from the passage, let us see. The convicts are sentenced to severe punishment. No, most of the convicts, not most, but yes, a few of the convicts were set free also. No, we had read 7 out of 20 convicts were set free. So severe punishment to nahi hai. The trauma that a rape victim has gone through would be aggravated by absolving the culprits. Possible? The trauma that a rape victim has gone through would be aggravated by absolving the culprits. The Indian judicial system is said to be working hand in glove with the Home Ministry. But the judicial system is not working hand in glove with the Home Ministry, no? As I said, the judicial system was separate. So this is also not correct. And the trauma that a rape victim has gone through would be aggravated. Aggravated means worsened. Worsened by absolving. Absolving means to acquit. We had the word acquit, no? Acquit or acquittal. That means to let them people, those who have been charged or condemned, and let them go free without any punishment. Right? So A sentence cannot be inferred. C sentence cannot be inferred. And what we need is can be inferred except means cannot be inferred. So A and C both not inferred makes D as the answer. Right? Because B is something that we can understand from the passage. I'll repeat. Understand the question first. It says which of the following can be inferred from the passage except. I have found many students who read half the question, right, and then get confused. Why? Or they skip, they read it in a hurry and they skip this last word except. So read the question very patiently because only then you will be able to mark the right answer. So can be inferred except means cannot be inferred. So A and C both, D becomes your answer. Next question, 118. Which of the following is the main reason due to which Bilkis Bano feels like she is living through her trauma again? It is so because she fears that the other women of her family will be tortured likewise. See, the absolvent of the, I'll go back and you see that paragraph. Here it is. The release. They were absolved, no? So the release of these convicts has taken from me my peace and shaken my faith in justice. My sorrow and my wavering faith is not for myself alone, but for every woman who is struggling for justice in cause. So she had said earlier that she was learning slowly to live with her trauma. She had trusted the system, but now she was going through that trauma again. So coming back to the question, so it was not that she was worried only about her family. So A will not be there. The release of the convicts is not correct as it was done against the prescribed law. Right. So was she worried about this, that it was done against the prescribed law or what? But they were released. Anyhow, they were released. That was causing her trauma. The release of her culprits was made even after they had been tried by the court, and she now fears for her life again. So she was earlier receiving those threats also, no? We had read in the paragraph. So because those people were released, even after being tried by the court, case chala, uske baad bhi chhod diya. That is it. So she now fears for her life again. Those people are not going to leave her. So this is possible. And she is afraid because she'll now have to fight the case again. So she was not afraid to fight the case. She could have. So this was not her reason or cause of fear. So C becomes your answer. Next, which of the following, if true, would weaken the idea of the author? Now, weakening would mean whatever the author's point is, it's a little deviating or contradicting to it. So the Indian judicial system is working on the instruction of the government. No, but he has nowhere mentioned this, or neither he has he indicated also or hinted also that the judiciary system was working according to what the government wanted him to do. Possible. So this can weaken his idea. This is not what he had said. I'll put a small cross there. The Indian judicial system is regarded as the authority which has always delivered system, and that is why she said that yes, I trusted this system. So that means it is regarded as yes, it is Supreme Court, that definitely we are going to get justice here. So this is according to the author. Indian judicial system is a separate organ severed from the legislature. Yes, this is what he said, that the justice system does not work according to the legislature or the executive or the administrative. No, it is separate. And because this is correct, so we have A as the answer, which says that it is working on the instructions, and this is what is the weakening point. Right? I hope you got this question. Correct. Which of the following strengthens the author's argument? Now we know. See, that is the reason why I said in the beginning only that you should be able to catch the idea of the author. If that is done, then the rest of the questions would seem very easy for us. Right? Which of the following strengthens the author's argument? The justice system should be overhauled. Overhauled means to bring a huge, drastic change in the complete system. So we don't need that. We need only timely justice to be given and proper. So in such cases, all convicts should be sentenced despite the lack of evidence. Right? Okay, lack of evidence and still they should be sentenced. This is not what the author indicated also. Rape victims shall be given special treatments and shall be given proper counseling so that they can move forward in their lives. This is what can be according to what the author has said, that say these rape victims should go on with their life properly. So this thought, now you would say, see, usually what I get as a pointer here is that this is not mentioned in the paragraph. possible. This is not mentioned in the paragraph, anything about the victims. But understand, when the author has given in detail so much suffering that she is going through, he's indicated that he's talking about the trauma that she is going through. He's also talking about the judiciary system, that the justice was not given timely, and then they released the convicts also. So again, this affected the person, the victim, right? And she was again feeling threatened and fearful of, okay, what is going to happen now to me? So in this is like the mind of those victims, they would be, it would be rather like hell only, right? So this is what can go with the author's argument, because this is something that will be in line with what he was saying, that the treatment of these people, or rather what is provided to these people, should be special, right? So this sentence you can't eliminate, that the author is not going to agree to this. We can't do that, right? And it is not necessary that it should be mentioned there in the paragraph also, because we need to understand the thought process of the author. We need to understand what is, in which direction is he thinking, and then whether this sentence can be or not according to the author's point of view. So if I talk about strengthening, so C sentence can be a strengthening one, but it is not A and C. So if we eliminate this, we can mark C as the answer, because both A and C would be out then. Getting the point? See, when I explain this, possible you can take a pause, read the passage again, and then see, and then try understanding the author's mind. That is what I would be repeating, that you have to understand the author's mind. You don't need to assume anything. See, when we do critical reasoning questions, oh, we don't assume, because we need to understand what is given there. Or rather, we need to understand the underlying thought that is flowing there in the paragraph. Yes, I'm saying this because you need to get into that habit. Okay? It is not only words that we are reading, it should be the thought that we are finding which is flowing there in the paragraph. Like, let us apply here again. It is possible that you still do not have the habit of understanding the author's mind, because most of you still read only the words. You need to read between the lines. You need to understand what that author has conveyed. Because as I say, you understand only what you want to understand. पर हमें ये नहीं करना है. We have to understand what the author has said. Right? तो जो author ने convey किया है, we need to understand that. Are you getting this point? So let us apply this again now freshly in this passage. So India's relationship with its flag is markedly different, flanked by respect and yet a lack of relatability. We are talking about the relationship of India with its flag. How has the Indian flag escaped attracting a similar modern patriotic fervor? Why are we ambivalent towards the Tiranga to the point of feeling uncomfortable to even talk about it? Ambivalent, if you have done your vocabulary well, ambi means both and valent is giving value. So ambivalent is giving equal value to both the sides. And they are like equivocal, you will get a word that is equivocal. EQUIVOCAL. I hope you have your notebooks and your pen ready with you, no? To mark any difficult words also, or to note down a few difficult words. You should always be ready with notes. So, why are we ambivalent towards the Tiranga to the point of feeling uncomfortable to even talk about it? The contrast becomes even more relevant around India's 75th Independence Day and the launch of the hotly contested Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, introduced to encourage Indian households to hoist the tricolour upon relaxing the flag code. Now, young Indian citizens share at best a fractured relationship with the flag. Now, see, we had this word and yet a lack of relatability, right? We had the word ambivalent, we had the word contrast, then we have the word fractured relationship. So we can understand that what the author is talking about is the Indian youth or India people, that is, they have two thoughts regarding the flag. One that has long needed vindication. Now think of what crosses your mind when a friend changes their WhatsApp display picture to the Tiranga. Most of you must have done a few days back only, last month. So we assume a tacit display of allegiance. Tacit is quiet. Allegiance is like, okay, fine, I also believe to a particular political party. And while this is the aftermath of the subversion of the Indian flag by convoluted politics, a nation's flag cannot be held in ownership. For some others, what holds them back from embracing the tricolor? Again, hold them back. That means not all people feel the same fervor. We had this word fervor also. Fervor would mean like very ardent connection with the flag. Itna intense connection, no, that is missing. So, what holds them back from embracing the tricolor or even acknowledging the Independence Day is not feeling enough national pride because there are so many markers on which we aren't totally free. Then they say, "Oh, why and what sense is to celebrate Independence Day?" This is what they would say otherwise, right? Because are we really free? Are we really independent? This is what they are saying. They can feel. It is not feeling enough national pride. And although that is undeniably true, now this point is from the author. Let's see, okay, fine. There might be some markers, there might be some pointers that show that no, we are not totally independent or something is missing there. But then such a belief alleges that pride in one's nation can only be felt with every speck of imperfection has been wiped clear, or that pride implies conformity with business as usual. Right? That means what? That unless there is no speck of imperfection, only then I'm going to feel respect for the flag. ऐसा होगा. So even if there are imperfections, even if there is something that is missing, we can still have that national pride in us. Talking about the flag, right? So read this again and understand the author's point. He says, why are the people not embracing the tricolor or even acknowledging Independence Day? It is not feeling enough national pride because there are so many markers on which we aren't actually free. And although that is undeniably true, that means the author agrees that yes, this is so. But such a belief alleges that pride in one's nation can only be felt when every speck of imperfection has been wiped clear. ठीक है, this is what the author is saying कि अगर हम इसको मानते हैं कि yes, there is some missing part there, that means there we'll feel pride only when it is flawless. Every speck of imperfection has been wiped out. Let's continue. Now more than ever, we need a uniting point, especially as divisiveness forcefully created by subverting differences of language, religion, gender, and political opinions makes it tougher for Indians to meet halfway. That means these Indians do not unite, do not come together. Why? Why? Because they are segregated or divided on the basis of language and religion and gender and all. So, coming to this flag, it is actually a uniting point. This is not just the story of India, but a global reckoning with the politicization of diversity that was once valued. So, it was valued, but now it is being politicized. Even in the US, now, when the author starts with even in the US, that means we can understand that he is giving a similar situation in the other country also. So it is not just for India, it is for the other countries too. So with its protests and counter protests for Black Lives Matter or abortion, the claim to the flag of America remains as much a right of a Democrat as it is a Republican's. While amidst the counter protest against Black Lives, it's a counter protest and it is against Black Lives Matter in 2020, many Americans gave up on hoisting the flag outside their homes for its appropriation as a conservative symbol. That means if they would hoist the flag outside their home, it would seem that they are conservative. That means according to the government, they are narrow-minded. But then they did not hoist the flag there. That had been deliberately weaponized, a reclaiming followed. What sparked this was a reminder. That means why did they not do this? It was a reminder of what the flag represents for Americans. It represents justice and equality and a nation for all rather than some. That means whoever is living there, whoever is a citizen, this flag represents everyone, right? So it is not to be only for a section of the society. or only for a party? Let us read the questions now. A little out of the way passage means a little difficult in understanding maybe for you, but then let us see the questions. Possible that we'll get simpler questions here. So, which of the following statement is the primary purpose? As we had said earlier, primary purpose means the answer to the question why. What is the objective? What is the intention of the author in writing this passage? So, what did he convey? Right. So, did you want to discuss the importance of raising the flag in everyone's house? This was something that we were told to do. That means it was done in this 75th Independence Day only, But then, did you want to discuss the importance of all this? Why would he mention what is being felt in America also then? So, A cannot be there. To state the importance of a national flag and that of others too as representing what the nation has gone through. That is what he wanted the Indians to do. That's see, they are holding back their respect for it. No. So the author says that see, even if there are some markers, you should respect and you should have pride in a flag. And it is not only in India, but that too in others also. This is what he wanted to state. Possible. I'll put a small tick here. Then he established that the Indian flag should be changed in order to be more appealing. No, this is out. And to argue that we should take pride in the national flag in any circumstances. Did he want to come up with an argument? Did he, whatever the circumstances, you should take national pride? Possible? This goes a little intense, a little stronger. So, what is primary? See, this D can be a right statement, but it is not the primary purpose of the paragraph, right? So, even if it seems right, don't get confused between the two options. Whenever you get confused between two options, keep them separate, right? And then read the question again. That is one trick that is going to help you. Read the question again, you find that it is asking you the primary purpose. So, when it primary purpose means the intention or the objective of why the author has written all this. So, he did not want to argue that, see, we should take pride in the national flag in any circumstances. It was his belief. He meant that, but not his prime purpose of writing the article. So, B would be a better answer. Coming to the next, which of the following statements can be inferred? So, a flag is respected in a country only if it represents perfection. Possible? Possible. We'll keep this. The people in America protested by not hoisting the flag because they had to display patriotism. Did they want to display patriotism? No. Feeling of national pride is lacking in the citizens since they still feel that actual freedom is missing. Possible. The blemishes on a country's past is an obstruction in accepting the flag wholeheartedly. Best. You need something that can be inferred. If it represents perfection, it was not done. What the author said was even if there are markers, even if there are blemishes, then you should respect the flag. So, careful reading, A is out, B was already out. C says the feeling of national pride is lacking in the citizens since they feel the actual freedom is missing. Is it lacking in the citizens, in all the citizens also? Right? It seems the same that actual freedom is missing. Mala, we would correctly and directly go to this. Yeah, actual freedom ka hai. So don't get involved in the passage then. Read it very objectively. So C is given there, but is the feeling of national pride lacking in the citizens? No, there are many who still have national pride on the Tiranga. So it's talking about not all. So C would be out. And answer D, the blemishes on a country's past is an obstruction. That means people do not feel that much connection to the Tiranga because they, according to them, there are markers. Markers means something that is still lacking, that is blemishes. So D would be your answer. This is what we can understand it. Inferred, right? See, inferred would mean something that can be understood from whatever is given there. So it will not be given directly in the paragraph or in the passage, right? Take note of that also. Inferred is what can be understood from the given facts. Next question, 123. Which of the following, if true, would strengthen the author's argument? So the citizen shall realize that the Indian flag is not a political symbol, rather represents the sacrifices made for this nation and shall embrace its vast history. Possible that they should realize what this flag stands for. It's not a political symbol. By hoisting the flag on your rooftop doesn't mean that you're supporting a particular party. It means that you are supporting your own country. You take pride in this. So this can strengthen the author's argument, no, that it is not a political symbol. Possible, I'll keep a small tick here. Author feels that the Indian flag, if hoisted in every house, should generate respect and pride. So if hoisted in every house, so now if it is done, only then can it generate pride. Right? We feel pride, then we would take that step of hoisting the flag on our rooftops. Right? It is not the other way around then. So B would be a little amiss. Putting up of Indian flag on social media creates awareness. That is not there. It creates awareness. So we have A as the answer. The citizen shall realize. So the author would not say that, okay, put that photo of the flag there on the social media. That click. I'll come back to that. We had that word tacit, right? That the people would go on the Independence Day or on the Republic Day or on any other national day, they would be putting up that the flag on the social media. Is it going to create awareness? या लोगों को पता चल जाएगा? On that case, it is wrong. So 123, we have answer A. Next question. Which of the following statements weakens the idea of the author? Right. So if we know the idea of the author, now we know something that is against that. So in India, the Indian flag shall be hoisted only at the parliament. Only makes a very strong statement that nowhere else will it be hoisted. But then in every country, in every state, any organization, it is hoisted. So I would say that this is weakening. Yes. It is against the ideas thought, uh, against the ideas of the author. The government shall take some measures to bring awareness among Indian citizens regarding the Indian flag. This would be supporting. Indian flag shall be given importance and shall not be disrespected in any way. Of course, this shall be supporting. An Indian flag shall be represented at every occasion of historical significance possible. We need something that is weakening, so we have A as the answer. Next question, 125. Which of the following is the author's assumption for young Indian citizens' relationship with the Indian flag? What is an assumption? When the author says that people hesitate, they are reluctant. So what is the author assuming? Now, assumption is something that is taken for granted. I'm writing it here. Something that is taken for granted and becomes the base of your statement. So, assumption is something that is taken for granted or it is considered true by the author and then he states his statement or his conclusion, but based on that assumption taken. So let us see when he said that the young Indians, what kind of a relation they have with the Indian flag is that they are not very, they do not take much pride in that. So what is he thinking? The young Indians are very well aware of the history behind Indian flag as it has been taught in schools. No, he would be thinking that they are not very well aware, and therefore he would say. So A is out. The Indians are not very well aware. No, see, if he had thought that the Indians are very well aware of the history behind the Indian flag, he would not have said that the Indians feel reluctant in accepting the in regarding with respect or with taking national pride in the national flag. ठीक है, फिर वो ये नहीं बोलता. So that means he thinks that they are not much aware of the history. So A is out. B says the relationship that Indians share with the national flag is nothing but a respectful one. Is it nothing but a respectful one? But then it was something less than respect also, right? So this is out. Young Indians share a relationship where they have not really embraced what the Indian flag stands for and would put it up on social media just because everyone is doing so. Possible? They have not really embraced what the Indian flag stands for. ये वो मान के चल रहा है that the people have not embraced or accepted what the Indian flag stands for. So I can mark C as the answer. So none of the above will also be wrong. Come on, we'll come to the next passage now. Oh, this is again to do with the government. Okay, we can understand this passenger name record information. Okay, let us read. See, you can see the various subjects on which these passages are based. So what I would suggest you, even after you take this test and understand the analysis and all, but then start reading the right topics if you're still not into reading. You have to read. You won't be able to come up with this. See, you may read the language. The point is not about the English language. The point is about your logical skills. That is your analytical skills also, your interpretative skills also, which you need to develop. And how will you develop is by reading somebody else's opinions and all. Right. So the more you read newspapers, the more you read somebody else's opinions, you read articles, you'll be able to understand what the other person is conveying, what the author has said. And then you apply it to the passages and read varied topics so that you are able to get accustomed to the terminology there also. Then it doesn't seem awkward. You don't know the words only. Right. So you have to work on it and it will be gradual. It will not be overnight. So be patient also. But yes, you need to put in that hard work because the person who puts in the hard work will be there at the top. You have to go an extra mile there. Right. Come on, let us come back to the passage now. On 8th August this year, the Union government notified the PNR Information Regulations 2022, the regulations, which is meant to enhance the detection, interdiction, and investigative capabilities of customs authorities using non-intrusive techniques for combating offenses relating to smuggling of contraband such as narcotics, psychotropic substances, gold, arms and ammunition, etc., which directly impacts national security. Now, it is such a lengthy sentence, but we can understand that they have come up with some regulations which is going to help them combat the offenses which are against the national security. ये तीन words समझ में आ गए तो it's okay. Go ahead. Now see, reading with the eyes is another point that you need to develop. Instead of reading the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, quickly read through and you have the CBIC, right, under the Ministry of Finance, which issued the regulations, made it compulsory for all airlines operating international flights to share the PNR details, a 6-digit letter or letters and number-based identifying system in advance with the respective authorities. So before they board the flight, they should have they have to send all the numbers, all the PNR numbers of the passengers. So it also said that failing to comply with these regulations would invite a penalty. That means it was mandatory for them, right? We have this word made it compulsory. Failing to comply would invite a penalty. Now, this would mean that airlines will have to share some crucial data points with the CBIC authorities, including the name of the passenger, date of intended travel, contact details, payment, billing information, confirmation, check-in status, baggage information, seat information, travel agent details from where this ticket was purchased. Now see, I read this very quickly. Possible, maybe you might not have understood a few words also. Why did I read it so? Because this is what you need to do when you're reading with your eyes. Now you know some crucial data points with the CBIC, and then you can see comma, 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 comma. That means it is giving us all those pointers. Just glance through. Okay, fine, done. This is all the information that is going to the CBIC. Till now, मतलब अब तक क्या होता था अब ये देखेंगे. So till now, the airlines were required to share only the name, nationality, and passport details of the international traveling passenger. The risk analysis that the CBIC mentioned in the circular aims to prevent repeated economic offenders from fleeing the country and check illegal activities and smuggling. This was given in the very first paragraph also, that they have come up with a regulation so that they can actually prevent this smuggling and people from fleeing. So note that CBIC is asking for something additional, not that it is asking for something additional from the passengers than what is being collected by the airlines now. But the approach to and the timing of the data protection debate that is happening across the country is raising some concerns. That means now the talk is like our data, our privacy. It is going, one company is sending it to the other company. So there's a debate here, right? So this data protection debate that is happening across the country is raising some concerns. But then he has already given a disclaimer that the CBIC is not adding anything or not asking for anything additional. Right? It is asking for only that information that the authorities, as it is, would take from the passenger. Now, following the 11 September 2001 attacks in the US, drastic changes were made in the aviation industry. Drastic changes underline kar sakte hain? From strict regulations on aviation safety to modifying the aircraft, everything was changed and made stringent. Stringent is very strict. In accordance with that, the US, under the Aviation and Transportation Security Act of 19 November 2001, made it compulsory for airlines operating passenger flights to, from, or through the US to provide the US Customer and Border Protection Federal Agency, upon request, with electronic access to PNR data contained in their reservation, arrival, and departure control system. Because this is the bit of information that these people would want, and access to this, electronic access to the PNR data, right? So we are talking about the changes made by US. In the initial paragraphs, we were talking about why they are asking for this information. What will be the use of this information? How is it going to help them? So question number 126. Certain changes were made in the aviation industry in the US. Which of the following is not a change that was enforced in the US? Quite an easy question. So it was made compulsory to provide US Customer and Border Protection Federal Agency the access to PNR data. We just read it, no? So it was made compulsory, yes. It was made compulsory the changes shall be made in the air routes from Southeast Asia. So yes, we were talking about to, from, and through. So if we remember this much, can we go back to that and see? Did we remember talking about the South Asia only? No. It was in all international flights. So it was not only coming to or from or through the South Asia. They shall make the air routes change? No. It was mandatory to make changes in the immigration policy. This was also not given. Immigration policy with changes not given. So now we need which is not a change here. So first sentence was a change. B and C were not the changes that were made. And hence D becomes your answer with both B and C. I hope this is clear. Again, a very careful reading on the question is required. Question 127. From the following statements, which option would strengthen the idea of the author except the sharing of PNR information will augment the investigative techniques of the customs authorities? Yes. If the PNR information is given, then the investigative techniques, that means combative, we had come to that paragraph, no? Here. Custom authorities using non-intrusive techniques for combating offenses related to smuggling and all. So it would strengthen, correct. The sharing of PNR information will help the government inhibit actions threatening the national security. Inhibit means to thwart or to stop, to obstruct. Yes, those actions, that means of the offenders and of the maybe the terrorist, maybe any other that is threatening the national security, these actions will be stopped. Possible. So this is also correct. Strengthening the idea of the author. Sharing of PNR information will be at the discretion of the airlines. Discretion of the airlines means if the airlines feels, then it will share. If the airlines feels that it is not going to give this information or reveal the information, it will not be there. But then we had read that it is made compulsory for them to share. So this is going to not strengthen the idea. Remember, we have this word except. So C will be there. And sharing of PNR information is aimed to prevent repeated economic offenders from fleeing the country and check illegal activities and smuggling. Yes, this was correct. So what was not strengthening will be C, and that is your answer. Next, 128 question. Which of the following statement can be inferred from the passage? So data protection is right of the Indian citizens, but not above national security. So fine, if the people are debating about the data security and all, but that is correct, true. It is your right. It is. It should be there. But then, when it talks about when it comes to the national security, then your data or data protection will take a lower seat or a back seat, right? So it is not above national security. Yes, this can be understood from the paragraph. So I'll keep a small tick here right now because we need to read B and C also. So changes are being made in various policies so that the PNR information of passengers shall be shared with the CBIC at a time where debates are going on regarding the data protection. But yes, this is also correct. This is correct. Agree. But this is directly given in the paragraph. And because it is directly given in the paragraph, this will not be the inferred part. We need something that can be understood from what is given in the paragraph. Right? I'll repeat. Inference is to understand something based on the given facts. So it is logically derived, logically deduced, you can say, or drawn out from what is given in the paragraph. So this sentence, because it is given directly, will not be the answer. To prevent terrorist attacks, changes will be made in the immigration policies of the country. Can we talk about the immigration policies? Not necessarily. Why? We can't infer this because there was no groundwork given there, nothing implied, nothing hinted in the paragraph about the immigration policies. So it cannot be inferred. First, yes, you have A as the answer, and D is also incorrect. Right? Which of the following best explains the purpose of sharing the PNR information as discussed in the above passage? So why? Why do we need to share this? So PNR information is aimed to disclose whether the airlines have been helping the recidivist. Where the airlines are helping the recidivists means recidivists are the repeated criminals. You can see RE, that is repeated offenders, repeated criminals. ठीक है मतलब जो बार बार क्राइम करते हैं वो. Now, is the airline supporting them? Right. That is why PNR number is given. No, that will not be the reason. No. So A is out. Disclosing the PNR information of international passengers will help the CBIC to keep a check on offenders flying and on smuggling. So yes, it will help to keep a check on this and this. Possible. This is why they need the PNR information, not we. Possible. The PNR information shared will further save the nation from terrorist attack. Again, we can't assume anything. Like in the previous question also, we cannot assume about the immigration. Why? Because there was no hint given there. Here also, it will save the nation from terrorist attack. No, they can only prevent the terrorist attack. Right? So you'll say, the moment you see the word terrorist, then you'll say, ah, ye to hoga hi sahi. But don't be so quick in just jumping to the conclusions. Understand? It is not the terrorist attack. It is further save the nation from the terrorist attack, or it will prevent them from there. So C will not be there, hence B is your answer. Because terrorist attacks and all will not be the purpose of sharing the PNR information. It's about people because they're taking a flight and all. Mainly about the airlines passengers it was talking about, no? That's why. Coming to the next question. Question number 130. So from the above information, which statement, if true, will weaken the author's argument? Again, now see, we know what the author is stating, right? The argument becomes the line of reasoning. How the author has stated the facts and what conclusion does he reach or what conclusion does he derive and how he builds his case and puts it to the readers. The whole thing becomes the argument. We need something that is going against his line of thought. So the sharing of PNR information with CBIC contains additional information about the traveler. Do we remember something? I'll take you back to that passage. See, I'm going back. You also should be going back here. Not that the CBIC is asking for something additional from the passengers than what is being collected by the airlines now. Now, see here, a very small mistake or rather a blunder, you can say, then that the students make. Be very careful and listen attentively. When you say additional information or additional, you remember the word additional, right? When you're taking the test, you go back to the passage, you read half the sentence. Because in a hurry, मतलब time खत्म हो रहा है बिल्कुल. Test में ज़्यादा time नहीं है. You think that in a test. But read very patiently. What it is saying is that not that the CBIC is asking for something additional from the passengers. That means the CBIC is not taking anything additional from the passengers. It is only taking what otherwise the airlines authority is already taking. So when you read the complete sentence, you actually get the contextual meaning of that sentence, right? So don't read or reread in a hurry. Be very patient and read so that you get the right answer then. Here. So the sharing of PNR information with CBIC contains additional information about the traveler. No, it doesn't ask for anything new. So this is wrong. We'll still go to the second. PNR information holds no information which is not likely to disclose the traveling information of the passenger. Possible. The PNR information can be quite useful if it is used for the right purposes. This is also strengthening. And it contains no information that is not likely to disclose. That means it contains information that is likely to disclose. Right? So this becomes again strengthening. We need something that is weakening, and therefore A becomes your answer. Right? Understand no information and not likely minus minus plus. You have to apply it. So I hope now the questions were a little tricky here, or you could say that a few options were tricky here. So again, getting the thought process of the author, coming to the options, possible you will get 3 out of 5 correct. And if you get 4 or all 5, that's extremely well. Very good. Coming to the last passage, passage 6. And see, another error you can say that is done, or a mistake that the people would do while taking a test is that they do not see the passages only. The possibility that this passage would be very easy. Could be, right? And because you do it in such a hurry that you actually skip reading the passage or coming to this passage at all, and then the time is over. So let's see, passage 6. On the historic occasion of India completing 75 years of freedom from colonial rule, Prime Minister Modi in his Independence Day speech laid out the path envisaged by him to take the country ahead in its march towards progress. That means what future he sees for our country, and he wants the people to come together. So there is much that remains to be done. This is what he has understood. First, to fulfill the dream of the freedom fighters and a country envisioned by our forefathers as laid out in the Constitution. Ambitiously aiming for a developed status for India by its centenary year of independence, he listed some key goals. Filtering out here, key goals. What? Filtering out the jingoism from his utterances, that is, by now predictably a tom-tomming of his government's schemes and a strong bias against the regimes from 1947 to 2014. That means this is something that he usually occurs or utters in his speeches, and that is what he is avoiding. What this person is filtering out. वो सारी चीजें नहीं बता रहे. An online of the future strategy is visible. So if we filter out what he had said in his speeches, right, what he was talking about mainly as his prime purpose, as we understand the prime purpose of the author, we need to understand the prime purpose of his speech also. So what was his intention? That much remains to be done. Secondly, he had to actually come up with his march towards progress wala sentence. And here the outline of the future strategy is visible. Not surprisingly, it rides majorly on the thrust of economic and education empowerment through the Make in India initiative and the new education policy, respectively. That means these are the two pillars here that are required to take India towards the path of progress. Thrust of economic and education empowerment. Now, fueling them would be the new age buzzwords of technology and digitization. So you can see how he has started now. The author, he said about what is envisaged by the Prime Minister, that India move towards progress, right? And then what is required is a thrust in economy and education empowerment. What is going to help these things? Technology and digitization. Now, to achieve this end, PM has rightly sought the helping hand of a demographic dividend, that means the youth, including from smaller towns and villages. After all, with 66% of the population below the age of 35, India has the advantage of being home to the largest youth population in the world. So now you have the pointers there. He is talking about moving ahead. He is talking about empowerment and education empowerment and push or the thrust in economy. What is required here is technology and digitization. And then he's taking the help of the youth. So the Panch Pran that he enumerates for the citizens are geared to get towards a society collectively aspiring to bring about change. The pledges include working for a developed India, abolishing slavery, taking pride in heritage, adopting unity and a sense of duty. These are the 5 things that he talked about, the Panch Pran. Prani Pran, promises. While these are commendable, of course, these are good. A lot remains to be set right. Again, he says a lot remains to be set right before the ground is conducive to fomenting such a spirit of unity in the increasingly polarized cultural and socio-economic setup. Conducive means favorable. So he talks about these 5 things that are to be done, but then he also says that before we come to unite or be united, there are so many things that we need to overcome because the people are like, right now, they are segregating, they are dividing on the basis of social and economic divisions, right? So this spirit of in unity has to be developed in them. Significantly, in the bid to maximize the reaping of this large productive pool of people, Modi's calculations foresee a critical role for women. Now he's talking about the productive use of that people, and then he talks about women. This is a heartwarming. That means this is something that is relieving us. For it is an acknowledgement of the fact that even 75 years after the right to equality was given to the fair sex, it continues to be treated unfairly. That means the right to equality was given to the women, but then they are still being treated unfairly. And when Modi says that, see, there's a critical role to be played by the women, that means he is accepting that, yes, these women have been treated unfairly. With the society failing to unshackle itself from the misogynist and patriarchal tendencies. At the same time, it is pregnant with the promise of opportunities on equal terms for the women in every field. So, whatever PM said, it is pregnant here means full of. So it is full of the promises of opportunities that will be provided to the women also, and that too in every field. So here it is coming up with something positive that he had said. Here he is coming up with, in this paragraph, he says that yes, something has to be done before the change happens. Let us see, if you read it in a flow, it should hardly take you 2 to 3 minutes, and the next 3 minutes will be the answering of the questions. So, question number 131, from the following statements, which option best explains the situation of treatment of women in the nation? So, they have been treated unfairly with misogynist and patriarchal tendencies, a rather direct question. Field mark this. In a test, if you find this exactly as the answer, then mark and move because you don't have much time. Yes, but then when we are analyzing, we need to see the other options because we have the best. We need to mark the best. So let us quickly glance. They have been treated equally. This is out. They have been treated equally as the number of working women have drastically increased. But it's not only about the number of women increasing, it is about the how they are being considered or regarded. So therefore, A will be the answer. Question number 131. Question 132. Which of the following is the central idea of the passage? Central idea would mean the thought around which the author would set his objective and all. So the thought around which the whole paragraph is revolving. So the Prime Minister has developed some policies that will be enforced for the betterment of various issues, however. Okay. Possibly he was coming up with all those policies, no? This can be correct. New pledge has been taken for the youth of India and their welfare. This was a Panch Pran. This is also correct. And women have not been treated equally even after independence. Yes, this is also correct. Because if they have not been treated equally, this is what the author says. And on this basis, he has given or used the Prime Minister's speech when he talked about the issues relating all this and then what to do about these issues. So they talk about the 5 promises, the Panch Pran. So all three taken together will be part of the central idea. Right? Because see, what happens, I'll say how the three can be a central idea. If I mark 1 as the answer, I have no reason to eliminate B and C because that too was focused by the author. If I mark B as my answer, I have no reason again to eliminate A and C. Same thing with C. If I am marking C, I have no solid reason to eliminate A and B. And I have a better option, that is D. Hence, that is the answer. Question 133. Which of the following, if true, would strengthen the idea of the author? So we have the ideas, right, that the author has stated in the passage. Let us see which is according to his ideas. So every student takes up the duty to treat everyone fairly and equally. So if every citizen takes up this duty, possible? It is, see, when we talk about clean, right? So when we say about the clean city, so it is not only about the municipal corporation to take care of the cleanliness of the city and all. If every individual says that yes, I will keep my surroundings clean, so ultimately the whole city will remain clean. If the people think that no, we don't have to throw away the wrappers anywhere on the road, we don't have to spit on the road. So it is an individual matter. If the individual takes care of this point, the whole city will definitely be the cleanest one then. Right. So I'm talking about this clean India. So why? Because this is also the same thing. If everybody starts treating the other person fairly and equally, definitely the author's idea will be strengthened. I have no reason to eliminate this, so I'll keep this. Let us go to the B and the C. The government makes a rule where 75% of reservation is for women. Now, does the author, or rather, would the author strengthen this? Or would he agree to this? Yeah, 75% होना चाहिए ना. सबसे पहले तो most of you would find no reservation at all, right? So 75% of the reservation, then what will happen of the general people? So the author is not like one-sided only. So this is out. So if this is out, then both B and C is also out. Right. So I don't need to check the C1 only. A new policy is enforced where the youth play a marginal role. Marginal role means margin is only going to the outskirts. अगर ये circle है तो this is the margin. Right. This is the central point. But then the youth are playing a major role, not a marginal role. So this is out. So we have A as the answer. Clear? I hope you have understood. Next question. Which of the following is an implicit assumption of the given passage? Okay, fine. We use the word implicit because it automatically means assumption only. So something that is hinted. Abolition of reservation system is necessary to bring about equality. Now, reservation system to be abolished totally, and then we'll see men and women equal. Totally नहीं होना चाहिए ना. So this is a very strong word. In India, the Prime Minister, when takes a pledge, it has to be followed by the private enterprises only. So only the private enterprises or the others also. There is a lot that needs to be done regarding cultural unity, and then the pledge formulated would be effective. Yes. Twice or thrice he has said that much is to be done yet. इसका मतलब जब उसे ये माना होगा तभी बोला. So there's a lot that needs to be done regarding the cultural unity, and then the pledge formulated would be effective. That is the Panch Pran that he had taken along with the youth of the country. Then it will be possible only when something else is done for the unity beforehand. Unemployment is the biggest issue. We can't say this. He will, if he talked only about, or if he thought about unemployment as the biggest issue, then he would not talk about unity and all. So, see, the way the assumption questions are done, you start with the negation technique. If I say in India unemployment is not the biggest issue, fine, no problem. I can still, or the author can still make a statement that what the PM has said, that you need to be united and then work towards the progress of the country. ये तभी भी बोल सकते हैं. So, positive or negative, this sentence was not making any difference and hence will not be the base of the argument. If you remember, I had said assumption means the base of the statement or the argument or conclusion. That means it should make a difference, no? To the statement. C is there. That lot needs to be done. Now, see, if I use the same technique, the negation technique, I say that there is not much to be done regarding cultural unity. Now, when I say there is not much to be done regarding cultural unity, can the author write whatever he had written in the paragraph? No, he had said a lot remains to be done. वैसे दो बार ऐसा लिखा है. You can check the passage. Right? If he has said that, that means this sentence, when I negate, will not be the base of that argument. Hence, this sentence becomes the answer. That this is an assumption that yes, he believes. He assumes that there's a lot to be done, and therefore he says that see, before you follow what the Prime Minister has said about those Panch Pran, there is much to be done regarding unity. Right? So read this question again carefully. You can go back and listen to the analysis again carefully if you have not understood what this question meant or what the technique was that I was giving you. I'll give that in detail in the next video, the analysis then. So which of the following weakens the idea of the author? You need something that is weakening, and this is your last question. So citizens of India do not follow the policies being formulated for their betterment, or do they follow the policies formulated for the betterment? Citizens would follow the policies, no? Why will they not follow? इसे underline करके इसे cross out कर लेते हैं, but let us read the others. In India, every person has been treated equally, and in India, there is a need of right to education. Call. Citizens of India do not follow the policies being formulated for their betterment. In India, every person has been treated properly. No. In India, there's a need of right to education possible. But we need something that is weakening the idea of the author. Now, see, when we read it in a flow, we find that this is also can be the answer, this is also the answer, and then we should mark all of the above. Then, but we don't have that option, all of the above. Right. Now, understand this question is not a tricky one. Question is a simple one. Critical reasoning, it weakens the idea, very simple. But then the options are so that you'll get confused. Now, this is the last question, but I would say that you listen to this very carefully. If I read the first sentence, citizens of India do not follow the policies being formulated for their betterment. In the paragraph, we were talking about the policies. We were talking about what the PM has said that yes, we need to follow this. We need digitization. We need technology. We need education empowerment. This is to be done. Only then we are able to um, go ahead with the progress of the country, right? So now the idea which says that the people or citizens do not follow, this is weakening the author's idea that yes, these policies which are made and formulated should be followed by the citizens or citizens are following this. So this sentence weakens. I'll put a small tick here. Now in India, every person has been treated equally. You'll say no, this was wrong. But the paragraph did not state this as a point that whether the people are treated equally or no. The paragraph very specifically talked about the women being treated equally or no. Because then the policies for the women were made by the PM. So now every person has been treated equally. You will find that this sentence is incorrect. Yes, this is incorrect. But then is it also weakening the author's argument? No, it is irrelevant to the author's argument. Are you getting my point? So this is irrelevant to the paragraph only. So we were not talking about all the people. We were, if all the people, then it would be like the classes and the status of the people, right? So no, of the society ho jata wo fir. No. This was mainly talking about the section that is the women, and therefore more to be done. So I'll eliminate, though the sentence is incorrect, the thought is incorrect, but it is not weakening the author's point of view in the paragraph. Same thing will be applied here. There is a need of right to education. The right to education is a broader topic. Were we talking about that? We were talking about the education empowerment. We are again talking about the women also getting the equal thing. So, right to education is a very strong word. Author was not talking about that. The author's idea was that what the PM said, that we have to do something for the progress of the country. We need to bring our country ahead by removing all those obstructions like divisiveness and all, and then bring them together. For this, we need the youth. So it was talking about the policies, it was talking about the coordination, it was talking about the unity and the equality that was not given to the fairer sex, that is the women, right? So it was focused mainly on that, not a broader term of right to education, not a broader term of every person, and hence only A will be your answer, right? Listen carefully. If you have not understood this, go back to the analysis, read the passage again, extract the central idea, and then listen to the analysis again, right? I hope now you must have caught at least a few points in this analysis where you understand that yes, this is the point where I'm going wrong, either in understanding the paragraph or in understanding or extracting the central idea of the author, or in understanding the question, or in understanding the confusing options. Because these are the pointers or areas where we need to focus on if we really need, or of course, everybody needs to get that the best score. If we really want to improve ourselves, improve our critical reasoning, improve our performance in this test or in the coming tests also, in every test that we are going to take. We have to focus on these areas. That is what I would say, right? So that's all for today. And thank you and all the best for your coming tests. Thanks again.